G'day viewers, in today's video we're going to find out which has more gold, the RAM BGA or the RAM ICs. I've always been curious and never really looked into it. I'm assuming some of you guys would also be just as curious. I figured that the BGA might have more, since BGAs in general do, but since they're on RAM I wasn't really sure, so together we're going to find out. Okay, so I've been chopping the legs off these RAM ICs. There's a couple here left to go to show you. I get these cutters here, they cut nice and close, and I haven't got my glasses on, but I get as close as I can and cut the legs off. I put my finger over here so that the legs and pins don't fly everywhere. I'm not pushing on the, I'm not going to get cut, I'm not pushing on the blade, it's just resting there, and then it gets nice and close. Like so. One more to do, and then I can carry on to the next stage of burning these chips and crushing them. So as you can see in the tub here is all the other things from what I've depopulated, and they will also have to be done. I'll need to pick up the other ICs, trim all the legs off those, pull the pins out, cut the bits off them that have got silver on them or whatever, like solder and metal. And there we go, all done. So now we'll go outside and we'll get these started and get them burnt. Alright, so before I burn these chips I need to weigh them up. I want to have exactly the right amount, the same amount of each, so that we can get a true reading of whether the one's got more gold than the other. So I'll tear off this container and we'll start with the ICs. Alright, so we have 424 grams, so it's just a little bit shy of a pound or half a kilo. I think a pound is 450 grams. I know there's 2.2 pounds to a kilo, so there's just under half a kilo, 423. So now we need the same amount in ICs. So I'll put this back in here. Right, 423. We want to try and get 423 or as close as we can in BGA'S. Oh, way too much. Take some out. Getting close. Oh. Oh, one more gram to go. There we go, 423. So we've got exactly the same amount, same weight of both ICs and BGA'S. Can't get better than that. So now it's going to be a true reading. Whatever we get, is one's more than the other or whether they're both roughly the same. Alright, let's go and burn them. Okay, I got the fire going and I've got two spare tins here. So I'm going to put the ICs in one tin and the BGA'S in another. But I only put a little bit in it first to make sure that they get oxygenated. Is that a word? Oxygenated. And same with these ones, I'll do it by hand. should have a little scoop of some sort, but I don't. Because I find if you just fill the tin up, the ones at the bottom don't get oxygen, and in order to pyrolyze properly you need to have oxygen. So then what you do is you, once they go white, you get the pliers, pick up the tin and shake it like that, make sure they're all mixed up, and then you can put some more in once that's done. So I'm not going to show you the whole process. I'll put these in the fire and get them all roasted. Alright, so the chips have all been burnt. This is one batch that I burnt and then I put in the pot while I went and burnt some more. There's more in there that are burnt. Using a little tin, more in there. And the ICs are all in here. There's a bigger tin. I've already started crushing some, as you can see. Some of them had to be re-burnt more. They weren't done enough. So now I'll bring my dolly pot over. And just put some in there, not too many. And give that a bit of a beating. It's pretty easy. I wish I'd had I should have made a bigger base for this, so I had somewhere to like set my feet on. So now I've got to put my feet like that. Anyway, they crush up really easy. You don't have to give it a lot of force. It's so brittle at this point, which is why you need to pyrolyze them until they're white. There's no good stopping when they're black. They've got to be white, or as white as you can get. Some parts of them still might be black, but as long as most of it's pyrolyzed, and then they crush super easy. And I've showed this before in other videos, so I won't go into too much length. Just a quick view. Bring the bucket over, pour this into the bucket, into the strainer. Whatever doesn't strain through goes back in the dolly pot again, until I'm just left with like bits of paper that was stuck on the ram. And bits of circuit die. Yeah, there's nothing in there now, it's just all circuit die. There's a couple of BGA'S there, so I'll put it back in for a second go. Okay. If you had a small rock crusher like my grinder one that I've got, it would go a lot quicker. And the reason I'm not using it is because the shackles are finally worn down inside. I need to replace them, and I haven't got any more right now. So even though this is all finely ground, and this isn't, this is just rubbish. It's you know, like I said, paper and bits of circuit die and so on. There's a nail there that made it through the mix. I don't know how that happened, but there's another one. I will still put this in acid just in case there's some gold trapped in it somehow, and I'll just do a separate batch of the coarse and the fine. So I'll put this in the I'll put this in the pot. First I'll need to empty this pot. So I'll put the last of these into the dolly pot. I'm running out of containers. Okay. Wash, rinse and repeat. Same process now over and over and over, so I'll come back when it's all done. Alright, so all the BGA'S have been crushed to a fine powder, as you can see. And all the coarse material has gone into this beaker. Now I've got a smaller beaker and a larger beaker. The larger one being for the fine sediment, and this is the coarse. And I've got the same deal for the ICs, a smaller one and a larger one. They were clean, it's just that my hands are dirty and I've been handling them, so they look a bit dirty, but they've been washed. So now that that's all the coarse material done, I'm going to pour the fine sediment into this one, and I'll start on the ICs. Alright, the ICs have been crushed, and all that's left now is the steel that was inside the IC chips and bits of circuit die. As you can probably hear, it's raining, and it's going to be raining all week. Normally I'd go out the front and do a gravity separation, but that's not going to happen in the rain. So I'll put all the BGA powder into the beaker. I'll do the same with the ICs. It's going to make it a nightmare to filter because of all the fine ash, but I've got no choice in the matter. As you can hear, it's really coming down. So I'll just have to do it this way. We'll still be able to do it, just take it longer, that's all. So I'll get that put into there. I'll put the coarse material into the smaller one, and we've already got some water in this one, some distilled water. I'm going to put water in each one of them and some nitric acid. Alright, so both the BGA'S and the ICs have nitric acid in there, dissolving all the base metals, and there's a lot of nitric in there just to make sure that it all dissolves. The bottle that I've been using to hold small amounts of nitric has a leak in it. I've lost about a litre of nitric acid, which I'm really disappointed with. So I've been pouring it from my big black tub down there into these beakers. I'll put enough in there to make sure it's done, but I will check it later when the reaction stops. There's not even any heat and they're bubbling away. Once all the reaction stops, I'll put a little bit more in, see if it reacts again. And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have a lot of excess nitric, which is okay, because when I filter it, I'll keep the nitric acid, if there's any strength left in it, for doing other jobs like this. Anything I need dilute nitric for, as long as I remove it from these batches so that I don't have any contaminants. I'll put fresh nitric in for the gold dissolve. But like I said, if there's any spare nitric in these solutions, I'll keep it. It's going to be a nightmare to filter because of the ash, but what can you do? Alright, so it's just a waiting game now, and let this happen. I've been trying to filter these solutions. It's been an absolute nightmare. There's a fine ash that would normally have been washed away. It's just blocking up my filters like crazy. I've already had two that were so choked up I've had to throw them away. It doesn't matter because it's only ash. I just put some more water in. You can see the normal coarse material and then the ash on top floating in the water. It's going to take me a long time. I haven't even started on the ICs yet. This is just the BGA'S. The one at the back is the coarse material, and this is the fine sediment. There's the two nitric solutions that have come out so far. I need to get this done. I need some gold. I need some money. Got no money. Bills to pay. I really wish I could have done a gravity separation. Anyway, it is what it is. So I'll show you when I've done it and ready for the next step. Okay, so I did like kind of a gravity separation, pouring off the light stuff into another beaker, putting more water, letting it settle, pouring off the light stuff, just like I would out the front in a bucket, but I did it on a smaller scale. Same with the coarse material that didn't go through the sieve, because BGA'S don't have any legs or anything. There's no steel to worry about. It was just larger pieces, bits of pulp. The paper stickers that go across all the things, even though they're burnt, they're still made paper pulp. And I've combined the two together. I've rinsed off most of the nitric acid. There's probably a tiny bit, it's not green though, it's a browny colour, so I don't know, probably a bit of ash, but I'm going to put Aqua regia in there now. It might be a little bit dirty, it's not 100% clean, but it's just really been a nightmare to filter, and I'm happy with where it's at. So I'll do Aqua regia now, dissolve whatever gold's in there, and then I'll move on to the ICs. I just did the same thing with the ICs. All that's left in there now is the coarse. All the mud has gone into this beaker, and I also incorporated the coarse parts that didn't go through the sieve, just like with the BGA'S. So it's all in the one beaker now, and I'll do the same thing now. I'll put some Aqua regia in there. I'm down to one hot plate, so I'll have to do one at a time, but by putting the Aqua regia in there, it might start dissolving slowly. When that one's done, I'll put this one on heat, and we'll get this done. Both of these solutions have now been boiling in Aqua regia. This is the BGA'S, this is the ICs. So they've both boiled until the reaction stopped, and now it's time to filter. I've got two clean beakers. They've got to be clean. It helps with a better drop. They've got hand marks because I've been handling them, but they've been cleaned. And I'm going to filter them through some cotton wool, and I'll also put a filter paper in the funnel as well. I want to try and get a nice crystal clear solution so I can drop the gold. So I'll keep them in order so I don't forget, and I'll start filtering them now. Usually I only put one cotton ball, but this time I've got two in each filter, and because I want to make sure I get it as clean as possible. The most clearest solution, the better. The more effort you put in now, the better the gold drop. It's going to take quite a while to funnel through two cotton balls, but that's okay. There's no rush. I'm not wearing my GoPro vest, so it's a little bit hard. I'm not really supposed to handle beakers this way, but oh well. Very easy for the beaker to break in my hand. Alright, I'll just keep filtering those until they're done, and then I'll come back. While we wait for the sediment to filter, I want to just make acknowledgement of my members. Johnny Hufford joined a few days ago. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it. And Mark Gully and Keith Rodman have been members for a while. Keith's been a member for 10 months. Thank you to all three of you guys, I really appreciate it. When I hit 3,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away more gold. I do every 1,000. And these three guys are going to get a second chance at winning some gold. So thank you all. If you want to become a member and get a second chance at draws when I giveaways and things like that, feel free. I could do with the support. Thank you so much, guys. Alright, so we'll go out and continue with this gold. Both the solutions are now filtered. It's time to run some SMB through them, and sometimes it can fizz over, so I've got them in these Pyrex dishes, Corningware dishes, just in case. There's a little bit more solution on that one than there is in this one, because that's the ICs, and it took a lot more BGA'S to make up the same weight as IGs or ICs, so that's why. Now normally you see I dissolve the SMB into water and add it that way, but there's already enough water in here because of all the rinsing, filters and so on, and you're supposed to double the solution with water because gold drops easier from a diluted solution. Now there was only about this much solution, and then now it's up to there. Same here, there was about that much and now it's up to there, so I don't need to add any more water. I'm going to change it up a bit today. I'm going to add the SMB straight in powder form. I've got it in this bag and it's hard to get out, so I'm going to get it in the scoop and just add spoonfuls from here. Give it a stir. Starting to change, you can see the brown on the bottom. I haven't seen that foam that you typically get. It doesn't always happen. Most times you get a foam on the top, so that you've got the right amount. So I'll just do that much for now, and I'll test it with SMB, with Stannis. Sorry, my words are all jumbled today. I'll test it with Stannis later to make sure that I've got all the gold out. I use food grade SMB, and it doesn't dissolve anywhere near as easy as if you were to buy it from a place that supplies acid. They don't sell food grade, they sell something different. I don't know what it is. Well, this here takes quite a while, which is why I normally dissolve it in first and wait till it's dissolved. Sometimes I've got to put it on heat to get it to dissolve, and that's why you rarely see me do it this way. Looks like this needs more. You can see it's changing colour. So you're not seeing the same response that you would normally see when someone else does spoonfuls, because they buy obviously from a chemical supplier or something. The food grade stuff's horrible to dissolve. Normally I have it prepared long before I do the video. I have it dissolved in water, and it can take half an hour or more for me to dissolve it. And then when I pour it in, you see this change straight away, but it's not going to happen so quickly with the food grade. So I'm just going to sit the lids on it. It'll happen in its own time. What will happen is I'll come back later when it's all seems to have been dissolved, and I'll do a Stannis check and see if I've got it all out. You see it's trying to change colour. as it slowly dissolves. I'll come back later. It's the next day and time to do a stannous test. Part of the reason why I don't like using this SMB in powder form is because quite often it sends the solution this maroony colour. Doesn't always happen, but most times it does. This one's okay, but I don't know, when I dissolve it, it doesn't seem to happen. So I'll put the spoon here. I'm going to test the solution. I had someone come to me the other day asking for help. They thought that they had gold in solution and they didn't know how to get it out. And when I tested it, it tested for iron, and he thought it was a gold because it looked dark, but iron goes brown like that. That is not a positive for gold. That is iron, probably from the pins that were in the ICs, the legs. He said, oh, if you leave it longer, it goes darker and darker. When it's brown like that, that is a test for iron. That's not gold at all. But there's gold in the bottom here, and gold in suspension by the looks of it, or stuck to the glass. There's a little bit on the surface as well. Now we'll test this one, and I'll clean this off first. Sometimes you do get this iron. I don't know how it comes up, even if it's like these BGA'S, they shouldn't have any iron in it, but sometimes you still see the brown, and it's definitely not gold. Gold is either black or purple. It's got a very, very light iron result, very, very light. But there's no gold in solution, so we can go ahead and filter it and catch the gold. Or if it clumps okay, I should better just pour the solution off and get down to the gold. So I'll do that. I'll see if I can pour it off without the gold coming out. This one here, I don't know. Oh, it's see-through. It's just a stupid colour, that's why I don't like doing it. But if I have to catch it in a filter, I will. I prefer to just pour the solution off so I can actually put several washes of hot water and then a hydrochloric acid wash and then a nitric wash, and it's harder to do that when it's in a filter paper. But I'll go through the whole cleaning process now. You've seen it before in plenty of my videos. If you haven't seen my videos before, I just do 3 hot water washes, then I do a hydrochloric acid boil, and then I'll wash that 3 or 4 times and make sure I get all the hydrochloric acid out of it, and then I'll put a nitric boil, and then by the time I've done that and then wash that out, it comes up pure, so clean. I'm not going to do it on camera. I've done it many times before. If you want to see it done, just go and check out some of my other videos, and I'll be back when I've washed the gold and we'll see what we get for each one. So many of you may have heard that there's a book, it's titled something along the lines of Refining Precious Metals and Wastes by C.M. Hoke. It is a good book to get. It's got all the information you need. I'm not going to push you towards the book. I know a lot of people are annoyed when they ask questions and everybody says go read the book, but I will tell you that I've put the links on my channel for you if you want it. This first link here is where you can buy the hard copy, and this other link here is the ebook where you can download it on your computer and it's free. You don't have to buy it. So if anybody's interested in that, there's a link for you to go and get it. Well, I got through the wash procedure, and each time I was having trouble pouring off the gold. pouring off the liquid without pouring any gold out. This one's not so bad. This is the ICs. As you can see, it's clumping up quite nicely. But the other one, the BGA'S, is so colloidal, I was having a really hard time, and I had no choice but to put it through a filter because I just could not pour the liquid out without the gold going with it. And I don't like melting gold from a filter. Every single time I try and melt gold in a filter, as the paper burns, it flies out of the melt dish and you lose gold. I much prefer to put the powder into the melt dish. So it's been through the rinses with water, and it's been through a hydrochloric acid boil, and if it stayed like this one, I would have then done a nitric boil. But see, this one's clumping up alright, but it wouldn't. So I've just put some hot water in there just to make sure that all the hydrochloric acid is rinsed out of it. And now once that's filtered, I'm going to refine it. So I'm going to put this filter in some new clean Aqua regia and see if I can get the gold clean up a little bit. I keep the used hydrochloric acid. This will go in there as well. This will just be water mostly now. So I'll keep that for when I'm doing other jobs like getting silver solder off circuit boards. My words are all mumbled up today. So I've got a lot of boards that have solder on them that I need to remove, so I always keep my old HCl. This one I could have gone ahead and melted, but there's not much point if I can't do this one. Might as well do them both together. I'll pour this water off here. See, that stayed in the dish nicely. That should be. So since I'm going to refine one, I might as well refine them both. So since that's ready to go, and this one isn't, I'll start refining that one because I've only got one working hot plate. I'll put some Aqua regia in that now and get that started, and that should be dissolved hopefully by the time this filters through. And hopefully I'll come back with some nice clean gold to show you. Well, I refined both beakers of gold, and now they look a lot better, as you can see. Even a nicer colour. And it clumps up better. BGA'S, ICs. So I'm going to pour the solution off, and I'll put this in my gold wash flask later on. Little bits that are floating are going over, but that's alright, it won't mount too much. There's the gold. Not sure how well you can see that. Tiny amount. Those little specks that you can see down there, little specks like that, that went over. You barely notice it, so you can't even see it. All this goes into my gold wash waste flask, and over time any little bits of gold settle to the bottom and I can recover them there. And also there could be excess SMB in the solution, so any time I put waste in there from gold washes, The SMB will help drop any gold that hasn't dropped. I did do a status test, and I thought I'd put it on video, but I forgot to hit record. I did a status test of both of these, and they both turned out okay. There's no gold left in solution. As you can see how clear it was. So I'm going to give them some rinses of hot water. Just like before. See how fast it settles. Look, it's already settled. It wasn't doing that before, it was staying all colloidal. You see, that's ready to pour already. That's good when it settles like that. That's the problem with doing e-waste. It's predominantly a very dirty gold. When you're doing jewellery, it's a nice clean gold. Yes, it's got silver and copper in it, but that's not what I'm talking about. Once you do your nitric solution and remove all the base metals, you're left with a nice clean gold, and it's usually nice and light brown. I've never seen black powder when I'm doing jewellery, but with e-waste it's always dirty, and after a refine or two it comes good. So I'll give it one more water wash. I'll do three in each beaker, and then I'll go for a hydrochloric acid boil, and then I rinse that thoroughly, make sure I get all the hydrochloric acid out, and then it has a little nitric boil, and by the time I've done that, everything is clean and the gold becomes pure, absolutely pure, and it's been tested before to be 999.9. The guy that tested it said, I've never seen gold so pure. So my wash method works. I don't care what other people do, but I know mine works. So that's that one done. Now for the ICs, and it's settling fast too. There we go, it's all settled. Tiny amount just moving around still in the water column. But look at that, beautiful. I do this to make sure it's all swished around, get all the granules all nice and clean. Well, it's settled out already. That's how we want it. One more. Slice of the water in the kettle. Beautiful. Settles nice. I tell you what, I can't see one having more than the other. It's going to be very close. See if I can tilt this down for you. That's the ICs, and this is the BGA'S. Maybe the BGA'S have got a tiny bit more. Put your guesses in the comments below what you think is going to have the most gold, BGA'S or ICs. I think the BGA'S, but we'll see. So now, I'll put a little bit of hydrochloric acid in both. Just rinse down the edges. Doesn't hurt to have a little bit of distilled water in there so that the dirt has somewhere to go. And I keep this hydrochloric acid that I'm using now. Once I've done this hydrochloric acid boil, it'll be stored. I've got a bottle for used HCl. So I'll put this on the heat. Won't need much because there's not much liquid in there. That'll boil pretty quick. I'll boil it for about 5 minutes or so, and then I'll put this one on. So I'm leaving the BGA'S on this side and the ICs on this side, so I can't get them mixed up. All the way from the beginning till now, I've had the ICs over here and the BGA'S over here. So I'll be back once that's boiled. Well, I probably won't even need to come back. I'll just clean it, put nitric in, give that a boil, and I'll be back when I need to dry the gold. Well, this is the gold from the ICs. The easiest way I found to dry gold powder is in one of these watch glasses that's got a divot in it. And usually when you try drying it in beakers, it can dry, not always, but can dry hard in there and cling to the beaker, and you're trying to get it out and you can't. And that's because beakers get scratched over time on the inside from using stir rods and so on, and the gold clings to the scratches. But inside this dish here, there's no scratches whatsoever, and the gold has dried nicely and it moves around really easily. So I'm going to put it into one of these dishes, which I'll then use to weigh it. Okay, my camera died before, and I was saying to you that the best way I found is to dry the gold in this watch glass. It doesn't stick, as you can see, and I've put the other one into a dish already. I was about to do that when the camera died. And this is the BGA'S. Make sure it's all in there. Okay, now scales. So have you got your comments in, the guesses of who's going to get the most gold? If not, feel free to pause it, put your comment in. I reckon the BGA'S will still win, but it's going to be close. Alright, so that's tared off at 0. Now, this was the BGA'S. Let's see what this is worth. .4. I really would have thought there'd be more than that, but it is what it is. And now for the ICs. I've had a lot of comments from you guys on a lot of my videos, and I actually love that. So anytime you guys want to comment, I really appreciate it, and I make sure that I answer every single comment. There's a lot of times I comment on people's videos and they don't reply, and I think it's rude. 0.16 for the ICs. So it looks fairly close when you look at the two side by side. Spread it out like that. It looks pretty close, but the weight says different. So BGA'S still win. Yeah, I find it rude. If you comment on someone's video, they should reply, and I have always and always will reply to every single comment, and I appreciate you guys who do comment. So how many of you guys have guessed the weight were close? And I hope you had a good guess at it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.